Welcome. I'm Doug, and this is Dying to Retire, a podcast on retirement and then some. If you've been here before, you may have noticed things look a little different. I've been running this show as an audio companion to my YouTube channel, so I have the same content, just the audio. Now that's changing going forward. The old YouTube audio versions are coming down, but what stays is everything I made original for this channel. I'll still be covering my retirement, the house being built in Guatemala, the residency process and all. That's still over there on YouTube on Dying to Retire podcast. If you must go over there to see the face that's made for radio. So just go over there. There will be some crossover, but if you want the full experience, unfiltered and explicit, this is where it lives. All right, let's get started. Okay, here's this week's update on Casa Douglas. And as I said in the last episode, the house is almost ready. Hopefully by the end of June, by the time this episode gets released, the house will be done. I'll probably be down there and I'll do some recordings when I'm down there. So you'll have me down there probably bitching about traffic again. But when Casa Douglas was ready, like I said, it'll be ready into June. Later this week, I am going to be doing a Google Meet meeting with the realtor because I'm working with the realtor and the builder for the installation of my kitchen appliances, as well as the washer dryer. And it's going to be one of those stacked washer and dryers because that's how the little laundry room is set up. You put a stacked washer and dryer and it has not a full-size pila, but a small-size pila. And if you live down in Latin America, you know what a pila is. It's where you do your hand washing. So I have that there. Plus, I had to put an outlet in there. Hopefully, they got that in there because I got to plug in my ironing board, my iron where I can iron there versus having to drag everything into the house and go back and forth. It's covered. You're kind of outside enjoying the air because fresh air comes in. I think it's a perfect area. Also, right by that area, I can, if I don't want to run the dryer, I can actually hang my stuff up and I can let it air dry all 365 days a year. Now during the rain season, it may take longer to dry, but it's an option. But I'm digressing. Sorry. But what I wanted to say is I am going to be doing the Google Meet with my realtor, Louisa, and we're also probably going to have the the home builder involved as well, because I want to have all that installed before I accept the house and do the walk-in. It needs to be purchased and then installed. And that's part of the deal of my working in it. Now I'm looking at the different photos of the other houses that are done. Looks like they're using high-end, not high-end. Some of them are. And that $2 million house that's across the street from me, they're using very nice Whirlpool. And I want to use the same one, Whirlpool, or a Maytag or a GE products down there instead of the fancy Samsung and Bosch stuff, because Whirlpool, GE, and Maytag are easier to repair. They're more common on there, even though they may not have as many features as some of the other stuff, like the Bluetooth stuff. It fits in that area. The reason I want to go with the Whirlpool that I've seen that the other houses have, because they probably have a handyman or a handyman service that services the community. I want them to be familiar with the equipment. That's for sure. Because if they've worked on the neighbors down the road, at least they know what equipment I have. They probably know where to go buy the replacement parts if stuff breaks down. So that's one of the reasons why I'm looking at that on there. The other thing I'm trying to set up, and I'm working with my realtor on there, is, remember, I said I have to furnish this house. And what's going to take is, I can get the house. I'm going to be in a sleeping bag for probably a couple of weeks or days while I'm waiting for furniture to come in, because I'm going to have to be there if anything gets delivered, furniture, TV and stuff. I need all of that. And I'm not going to have a car yet. So how do I do this? Well, there are what's the word I'm looking for? Interior designers or people who help you with this stuff. And so working with my realtor, she had someone, probably a friend or a family friend, and they've done other stuff. And I've seen this lady's name in the Facebook groups before. So I've had other people, there's been other people who recommended her. Can't even speak English today. So I want to meet with her later this week or early next week. Again, a Google meeting. and then eventually go look at the property where she can see what I'm talking about. Because the wife and I, because I'm the nerd, because I'm just how I am. I'm a how can I say this one? One of my last assignments when I was working in the federal government, the second to last one, had a decent manager, though he was a little bit different. He was alternative lifestyle community. I mean, you do not want to see a 5'10" man who wears a muumuu and paints his nails, but that's a different story for another day. But he was very competent in his work. And one of the things that he always used to say, define your requirements. It's hard to say what you're looking for if you don't know what your requirements are. At the end of the day, what's good look like? And so with that in mind, I worked on a document that went by room, what I wanted in each room. The wife and I, we've been out, we've taken photos of different type of furniture that we like to include furniture that would go on a deck or a terrace or a patio, because the master bedroom does have a private patio. We've been looking at those. I've taken the photos and I put them in the document as well, placed next to the different rooms where I want them to be, down to getting oriental carpets and stuff, even though it's got nice, beautiful stone flooring. So I did submit that or send it to submit. I feel like I'm back in the government. I'm using the word submit. No, I sent it. I emailed it to Elena, who is the interior designer. Is that the best way to call it? So send it to her. She's going to review it. She liked how we laid it out. She agreed with the idea. It is a phased approach. My priority one is, like I said before, I need a dining room. I need a bed for the master bedroom. What's really nice is built-in wardrobe for the master bedroom, and actually all the rooms, so I don't have to worry about closets. For the master bedroom, the built-in wardrobe actually has built-in, how do I call this, end tables. So I just need lamps and a bed. So I want to get a nice little platform bed, little things in there, but probably a king size bed because I got room for that. So that's going to be different getting, but I can put queen size beds in the other two rooms. So I had to lay it all out, 17, 18 pages worth of stuff, what we're looking for. I sent, I sent it over to her. She looked at it. It made sense to her. And she's like, yeah, I understand phase one, phase two, phase three. Phase three, anything for artwork is phase three. That's uh, to be determined to put it up when we want to put it up. Because here's the thing, that is concrete walls. This is a Latin American built house, the Antigua style house being built. When you're putting a picture on the wall, you're putting it in solid concrete. It's not like, oh, no, honey, I want it over here. We can patch it, smooth it over, and just move it over to the other location. No. Once you put it in there, it is there. Because if you have to go patch it, you're going to be patching the concrete, the smoothing work that they did, and then you got to repaint that whole wall, not just a part of it, the whole wall. I'll probably have to do that every 5 years anyway, but I don't want to have to go through there. So that's where I am. That's the current status of Casa Douglas. And now for the boomer reality part of the podcast. And today I am tackling a topic that strikes fear in the heart of every red blooded American man, especially you guys listening, right? I'm talking about giving up our car keys. And look, I get it. As a man, the thought of losing my driving privileges, losing that raw everyday independence makes my stomach turn. For generations, the car has meant freedom, period, since I was 15. Actually, I was driving way beforehand, but since I was 15, right? Was on the back roads and then 16 regular back in the day, right? So recently, when I started seeing all these headlines buzzing on the various news sites talking about how self-driving technology, self-driving cars are helping seniors stay behind the wheel longer. And a lot of people were celebrating it. And they were pitching this as this tech, self-driving cars, as the magic bullet to keep Grammy and Grampy independent. They're able to run their errands on their own still. They still can drive through to their own medical appointments without having to rely on overworked kids or grandkids or some sort of public services. But let's hold on for a second. Let's turn off the Tesla hype machine for just 1 minute And let's look at the actual reality. And I'm not picking on Tesla. You can pick any auto manufacturer that's building self-driving cars or have self-driving capabilities for their cars. I'm talking like Rivian. I'm talking Volkswagen has it. What's Polestar or Polaris or Polestar? I think what Lucid is the other one. Those manufacturers. So I'm not picking on Tesla only, but that's the one really being big pushed in the news today. So, and I'm also not talking about the driverless robo taxis. I'm talking about older boomers and the silent generation's personal cars. Most likely a Camry or a Toyota Corolla that's 15 years old. And I'm talking about the late 70-year-olds to 90-year-olds who are climbing into these high-tech machines, placing one hand on the steering wheel, tapping a touchscreen that they can barely read that's often very confusing, getting in it, starting it, and then merging onto the highways. Now, yes, it depends on the individual. Some 85-year-olds are sharper than folks half their age, but on a whole, is this really a good idea? And let's be completely honest about the environment we're putting them in, well, us into, because I'm actually talking about where I'll be in 10 years, 15 years. And it's not like Grammy and Grampy are running off to the local drive-in theaters on a quiet Friday night. No, they're getting on and navigating the local roads, but they're also getting on the American highway systems. And let's face it, our infrastructure is okay, but it's not great, which is needed, which is a requirement for smart cars to succeed. In fact, in my opinion, get mad at me if you want, over the years, our roads have gone way down in some areas. They have gotten really shitty. And we're talking beyond the faded lines, right? The lane lines, which is some shit that really pisses me off. I'm talking about the confusing construction patterns, especially nowadays with dedicated bike lanes eating up valuable road space, shitty maintenance that has resulted in such things as massive potholes, poor traffic lights, and stop signs behind trees and bushes, things the cars aren't going to see. And let us not forget all the illegal immigrants on the road who have brought their third world driving habits with them, as well as the rise of aggressive drivers who treat the interstate like a racetrack. Now, I am going to do a sidestep here because folks know I am in the process of going to Guatemala, having a house being built there, and we'll be driving down there. That's like driving in DC traffic at many times. So yeah, I'm not trying to pick on third world traffic, but America wasn't built around that. When you're in third world, you have to drive that way. But when you're in America, a lot of people are not used to third world driving habits. So sorry, I died. But into all this chaos, which we think is a good idea to inject autonomous technology. Now, if you read the press releases, you think the tech is here, functioning at 100%. But in my humble opinion, let me repeat that, despite the massive hype, the technology isn't just here yet. It's not here yet. Maybe in 20 years, sure, by the time I need it, but I don't think it will be even then. But right now, today, we're stuck in this bizarre middle ground. And for your edification, and I'm not trying to insult you because I had to look this shit up too, because reading the articles, they threw up a couple terms I have never heard of before. And what I'm looking at is the auto industry categorizes self-driving into 6 standard levels, starting from 0 all the way up to 5. 0 is totally manual, right? And to 5, which is full driverless. Think early 1980s Knight Rider, the TV show. The In the cars that you can actually buy now, like a Tesla with what they call full self-driving, are firmly at level 2. That's it. And in short, they're not Kit from Knight Rider, not even close. And what does level 2 really mean? It means partial driving automation. The system can only, excuse me, let me rephrase this. The system can simultaneously control steering and acceleration and braking, but it is a massive but here. The fine print tells you that a human driver, must be consistently or constantly monitoring the environment, driving around, and be able to take total control of the car at any given moment. That's taking control of the gas, the brake, the steering wheel, whatever, right? And think about this for a second. We're asking seniors, boomers, and silent generationers who likely have slower reflexes and maybe a little less neck mobility, to look around, to babysit a computer disguised as a car that could suddenly throw the wheel back at them in a split second crisis. That doesn't sound like independence to me. It sounds more like a recipe for disaster. Now, to be fair, the tech crowd loves to throw numbers at us, and sometimes techies are just as bad as the statisticians. That said, let's look at the numbers because they are fascinating. Tesla publishes an official vehicle safety report that is updated quarterly. And while that's not real time, it is as near real time as the industry can get that tracks real world telemetry, can we say it, from billions of miles driven or being driven. So on paper, this looks actually incredible. I wonder what BYD is doing because they outsell Tesla, but it would be interesting. Build your dreams. It's the Chinese car company. So listen to these crash rates for major collisions, and we're talking property damage or injury level crashes where a vehicle has to be towed. The U.S. national average for all drivers per federal data, that's one major collision for every 660,000 miles. A Tesla driven manually without active safety features on, one every 855,000 miles. A Tesla driven manually with active safety features on, one every 2.18 million miles. That's like what, twice as much, or a little bit more than twice, almost 3 times as much. But a Tesla will full self-driving engage. It's one major collision every 5.3 million miles. That's 5.3 million miles. Holy shit. So that actually looks good. So according to that data, Tesla's the FSD, what is it, full self-driving mode is roughly 8 times safer than the average American driver. So out of more than 10 billion miles driven with the system engaged, they've recorded just 830 major collisions. So statistically, on the metric that matters most, crashes per mile driven, the software wins hands down. Tesla even estimates that if you scaled this tech into all US roads, you could prevent tens of thousands of injuries and fatalities every single year by eliminating the human error. But here's your reality check. Safety researchers and critics have noted there are some major caveats. First, Tesla owners who use this software tend to skew towards safer demographics. What I mean by that, better roads and more optimal driving patterns. And when you compare FSD to a regular person driving the exact same Tesla, that 8 times safety gap shrinks down to about 2.5 times safer. So that is better. I have to give it to you. That is better. More importantly, it's called supervised autonomy for a reason. The software isn't driving alone. It's a team event. It's the system plus a human, the monkey, who is also paying attention. And this brings us right back to Grampy and Grammy, which is basically older boomers and those from the silent generation. Us, right? I'm talking about me. Those automated features, lane keeping assist, it makes a lot of noise when I move it. It vibrates the steering wheel on mine. And I don't drive a Tesla. I have a Hyundai, which is turning into a piece of shit. Blind spot monitoring, automatic emergency braking, they're fantastic tools, features on the car. They absolutely help any drivers, but especially older drivers, by reducing cognitive fatigue and managing those tough blind spots, mitigating slower reaction times if the person may have it. For a senior who is still generally alert but struggles with physical stamina or highway merging, this tech is a godsend for basic errands. But let's not delude ourselves into thinking the car is doing all this work. If a senior shouldn't be driving manually because of cognitive decline or severe physical limitations, sticking them behind the wheel of a Tesla does not magically make them safe. In fact, it creates a dangerous false sense of security because the second that software encounters a faded line on a crumbling road, it's going to beep, disengage, and hand the wheel right back to the senior citizen who shouldn't have been behind the wheel in the first place. So the technology is a brilliant safety net, but it's not a replacement for a driver or a good driver, and at least not for now. So do you agree or disagree? Shoot me an email. Now, for today's segment of Just a Boomer Bitching, I want to talk about something that is a sensitive subject to most men. And I'm going to be talking about nose hair. Yep, nose hair. And more specifically, why the hell does it seem like the older we get, the more our nose hair decides to grow like it's on steroids? It's like a weed in your yard. Nothing can kill it. It just grows. You will trim your nose hair and your ear hair one day, and then the very next day, you have a forest of inch-long hairs tickling your nose. What the hell is going on? Now, so I'm going to introduce you to something that I had to look up myself because I didn't know about it until I started digging into why is this happening to me. And it turns out this whole thing can actually be explained by the phenomenon called androgen, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, androgen sensitivity. What that means in plain language is that the hair follicles in your nose and your ears become increasingly sensitive to hormones over your lifetime, specifically to testosterone, however you want to call it. Your hair follicles react differently to testosterone as you age. And what it does, it causes the hair in those areas, in the areas you don't want it to be, to grow thicker and longer. That's it. That's the culprit. And now, there's even a name for the bigger picture here. It's called the androgen paradox. And what that means is that men's hormones can behave differently on different parts of their bodies as we age. And women think they have the market cornered on the body changing due to hormones and such. Yeah. Okay. They're not the only one. It's happening to us as well. So these hormones, our hormones, can cause the hair follicles on your scalp to shrink. It causes recessed hairlines, which is basically us going bald and all that fun, right? But at this exact same time, the same testosterone acts like a damn stimulant to the follicles in your freaking nose, in your ears, in your eyebrows. That same hormone that takes the hair off the top of your head is putting it everywhere else on our bodies. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this is disgusting, Doug. And yeah, it kind of is, but it's also a fascinating subject if you think about it. And more importantly, it's what our body is doing over time as we men are getting older, whether we like it or not. So, in addition to worry about the pounds, the exercise, the bone density, we also have to worry about hair spouting out in places we don't want to. And look, I'll prove it to you without even using science. Go pull out an old photo. Like I just talked about the old science in there, but go look at an old photo of your grandfather or great uncle or something. Look at the pictures of them when they were young, if you have them. Then look at the pictures of them when they were older. When they were younger, they look fine. But when they're older, look at how their eyebrows got a lot bushier, big bushy eyebrows. Look at the big clumps of ear hair coming out of the side of their head. You'll see it if you haven't seen it firsthand. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But now you know why that's happening. So now that we know what happens, let's talk about what you're supposed to do about it. And I'm not getting paid for this. I just want to talk to you guys straight up because not all nose and ear hair trimmers are the same, not even close. So I want to compare two of them that I personally have, both available on Amazon. I'll give you my honest take because sometimes the Ferrari and nose hair trimmers isn't actually the best one. And in this case, I mean it literally. Excuse me. The first one I have is the Conair's nose hair trimmer. It's about $30. And this one's called, like I said, the nose hair trimmer for men. It runs about 27 bucks, like I said. Um, What's interesting on this one, it has a patented 360 bevel head on the top. And let me tell you, this bevel head actually matters because it's the one that gets the closest into the crevices of your nose, right at the tip area, to cut the hair back, especially those nose hair that keeps peeking out, right? And this is what you want because it gets that one. So, with that nose hair that starts tickling your upper lip and stuff, this is the one that really gets it. So go look in the mirror, you'll see what I'm talking about. And how I want to say this. It gets the nose hairs that start tickling you, or the ones that you see in the mirror and suddenly realize why your coworkers were looking at you all funny because you had a half an inch of nose hair sticking out like a freaking part of a handlebar mustache, and they all could see it. So the bevel head actually works on that. The downside I hate about it is it takes an AA battery. So if you're always looking, so you have to always be looking for batteries because it will run out and always be swapping them out. I wish this was rechargeable. It's not. There's no USB-C or light attached to it. There's no option like that. In general, that is my only complaint about this. The other one I have is the high-end Manscaped Weed Whacker, right? Weed Whacker 3.0 Pro. Yeah, and you've seen the ads that, they also make the products that you cut hair around where men could do their own Brazilians and stuff. It's actually a decent product. It's cool because it's rechargeable. It's USB-C. It works really well. It's got a little light to help you see what you have to if you really want to look up in there. Got a lot of torque. It sounds impressive when it's spinning up, but that's the problem. It's got that straight cone head, and that straight cone head doesn't get to the same places that the bevel head does. So if you're going to be looking at nose hair trimmers, this one's good. It's got all the power, but it doesn't have the bevel head to get to the areas you want. So the $27 con, sorry, losing my voice again. I hate allergies. So the 27, really bad here. The $27 Conair outperforms the $40 Manscaped, in my opinion. And it's really due to the bevel head. The only thing, like I said before, I wish the Conair was rechargeable instead of just taking the batteries. But hey, in simplicity works sometimes. So let's start looking at this. Now, I know what I just talked about. To some, it is a taboo subject, and I'm going to say what needs to be said. Have you guys noticed as you've gotten older, your nose hair and ear hair and eyebrows, are growing like crazy? Because mine sure the hell are. And sometimes the eyebrows get out of control. Not my eyelashes, the eyebrows. So don't get me started. So here's the thing, man. As such, we have the opinions that women should take care of themselves, like shaving their legs, hell, waxing and trimming away that 70s look that no one really ever thought was sexy, especially when hair is peeking out from the bikini or anything. Yeah, no man wants to be trimming the bushes inside his house. The only bushes men should be trimming are the ones outside of the house. Women, you need to take care of that if you're listening. So, but we need to hold ourselves to the same standard we demand women do. And because there's a tendency for old men like us, we don't need cologne anymore. We don't need to use deodorant anymore. Yeah, we do. And I don't care what you think, you do too. So guys, cut your nose hair, cut your ear hair, trim the eyebrows. You do not want to be walking around looking like you're a tarantula or have a tarantula sitting on your face. Take care of it. It is not complicated. All right, that's it for today. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, you can reach me at dyingtoretirepodcast@gmail.com. As always, I'm Doug. This is Dying to Retire, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.